Part 54. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 532. Kedrick, why are you so embarrassed? Hearing the familiar voice, a smile appeared on Kedrick's lips. Mr. Rudolph, not everyone is as comfortable as you. The destructive rays and evil insects that had just attacked him disappeared without a trace in an instant, and several starlight water snakes appeared on the ground. It was these water snakes that dealt with the attacks. Kedrick turned his head and looked at the sea to the side. At the end of the sea level, the sun had completely set, leaving only a trace of afterglow, which illuminated the sea their golden red. What is even more eye-catching are the strange-looking ships, including galleys flying green skull flags, huge flagships filled with artillery and rockets, and pirate fleets composed of more than a dozen identical ships. A knight's ship from the last century with a firing pin, a ship with a statue of a naked woman standing on the bow. In short, this is a strange-shaped fleet, with ships of different sizes and colors, rushing towards the warring waters in a chaotic but fast speed. Unexpectedly, the information was true. The pirates on the ancient Sea of Sarah were really on the side of the northern continent and fought with the Royal Navy against the evil cult. In the center of the battlefield, Level 6 White Demon Priest Wright looked at the pirate ship in the distance and cursed, "It's just a mob." Before the ultimatum issued by the cult of Evil God expired, no pirates came to seek refuge. Wright thought that those pirates would go to other seas and would no longer stay in the somewhat narrow Salago Sea. Unexpectedly, these pirates not only refused to join the cult of Evil God, and he also voted 9 to rely on the northern continent. When the naval battle here is over, the sweep of the Sarago Sea will be put on the agenda. We must give these pirates some color. Some of the pirates in the distance took the initiative to fight against the northern continent out of moral principles in their hearts. Some, like Rudolph, actively rushed to the front. Some had to follow due to the resolution of the pirate conference, and they fell behind unconsciously. You can come if you can. What the Pirate King and Rudolph want is just an attitude common to all pirates. No matter what the reason is, the pirates are not willing to see the evil god cult set foot on the northern continent again. Kedrick, I see you have been promoted. Take a rest for a minute and I will help you clean up the priests around you. Okay, Mr. Rudolph, please buy me some time. I will deal with the 6th level priest who came over. Kedrick's promotion not only made the surrounding priests nervous, but even the priests in the center of the battlefield also noticed the changes here. Once the knight cannot be killed during the adaptation period of the knight's promotion, the appearance of that level 5 knight will quickly change the situation. The battlefield pattern of the left wing. Are you talking about the level 6 trapped priest Haga who came over? I've seen him before and am an old acquaintance of him. Don't be afraid. I'll help you solve it. Kedrick wanted to say that he was a level 6 priest after all, so he should wait until he fully mastered the power of a level 5 knight before fighting against him. A revolver appeared in Rudolph's hand, and after 3 gunshots, 3 level 5 priests fell down. After the gunfire ended, Rudolph flashed with a detonation and disappeared in front of Kedrick. Kedrick looked at the 3 fallen priests in stunned silence, one on the ship, one on the left ship, and one on the right ship. With the support of the knights and soldiers behind him, Kedrick maintained the combat effectiveness of the level 5 apostle and tried his best to kill 4 level 5 priests. Mr. Rudolph was knocked down easily with 3 shots. The starlight water snake crawled towards the fallen priests and took away the priests' relics. The level 4 priests surrounding the level 5 priests are no match for the level 5 starlight water snakes that appear in groups. After not seeing Mr. Rudolph for a long time, Mr. Rudolph suddenly transformed into a sharpshooter. His revolver kept spitting bullets, and 1 bullet would kill a level 5 priest. There are many ships scattered on the sea, and there is still some distance between level 6 Annihilation Priest Hall and Rudolph, so Rudolph has enough time to show off his ability as a Southern Cross wizard. Ordinary level 5 poisoned bullets, combined with the starlight water snakes that constantly emerge from the water, are enough for Rudolph to deal with these priests easily. Suddenly flashing onto the evil cult ship, Rudolph appeared behind the captain's fifth-level priest. During the period of stiffness, the captain just turned his head and found the wizard who suddenly appeared. He allowed the captain and priest to roll over, or using other methods to dodge. Rudolph raised his hand and fired a bullet. For a level 5 priest without oracle protection, this unavoidable bullet can easily kill him. Starlight water snakes crawled out of the water one after another and crawled towards the poisoned or dead evil god priest. The priest's relics were held in the mouth of the starlight water snake, and the water snake disappeared into the sea water. The attack of the furnace made the movements of all the priests on the flanks of the evil cult fleet become stiff and slow. Too fast, really too fast, the level 5 priest died too fast. The evil god navy placed 25 ships on the flanks, which means there are 25 level 5 priests. Of these 25 level 5 priests, about 10 died at the hands of Royal Navy officers such as Kedrick, and the remaining 15 priests, being rapidly harvested by the furnace. The sonic boom appeared behind the priest in a flash. He used the priest's head-turning movement to get through the period of immobility, raised his hand and shot, and then disappeared in a flash. The whole process took no more than 2 seconds. Within 2 seconds, a level 5 priest died in the hands of the furnace. Now the priests recognized that the wizard who appeared was the Forge of Blasphemer, the Forge of Phoenix Wizard. After the death of the level 5 priest, starlight water snakes will climb up the deck, bite the relics in front of the level 4 priest, and disappear into the sea. Just half a minute later, the battlefield on the flank fell silent, and the sonic boom that claimed his life disappeared. Because all the level 5 priests were dead, all died at the hands of the furnace. There were only a few scattered battles on the decks, where the priests and the starlight water snakes were fighting for the relics, but even this last resistance soon disappeared. Kedrick didn't even bother to recover, and hurriedly shouted to the back, "Charge! Inter's purse!" This was a great opportunity created by Mr. Rudolph. As long as the Inter's purse was completed at this time and the formation of the ships on the flank of the evil god cult was disrupted, all enemy ships could be quickly sunk with the broadside guns. The Royal Navy behind him became extremely excited. Rudolph no longer cared about the battlefield behind him. The golden bat wings allowed him to float in the air, waiting for Heger to come to him. Some scattered shells tried to hit Rudolph, but as a Southern Cross wizard, Rudolph's evasion ability had improved qualitatively. He slightly adjusted his position and floated half a meter to avoid all shells. 15 level 5 priests allowed Rudolph to obtain 10 Southern Sky constellation codes. Rudolph did not have much time to analyze the principles of these codes, but he saw the Popeyes code among these codes. Rudolph felt a little bored with the ordinary Southern Sky constellation codes. The only one that interested him was the Argo wizard, one of the 3 strongest wizards in the Southern Sky. Rudolph had already collected the Vila and Karina codes, and now he had the Popeyes code, only the last one was the compass code. 3 minutes later, Head came to 50 meters in front of Rudolph, staring at the messy flank battlefield in amazement. "Respected High Priest Hall, you are so fast, did you not eat? Did you not eat lunch or dinner?" Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 533. Great Priest Hall, we meet again. Are you here to restrict me? Looking at the furnace, Hall felt bitter. He really didn't come to deal with the furnace. The furnace was difficult to deal with. He came to stop the newly promoted level 5 knight, but he didn't expect to see the furnace just halfway through. When he was on Longboli Volcanic Island, the furnace left a deep impression on him. At that time, he couldn't do anything with the furnace. He learned from the intelligence of the church that the furnace had become stronger and killed a level 6 high priest in the parish of the Harvest Church. He couldn't go back. Going back proved that the fear of death defeated his faith, so he had to bite the bullet and come. "Furnace, Don't think I'm afraid of you because you have a record of killing a level 6 priest. Then what should I do to make you afraid of me? Seeing the furnace raise his hand, Hall's heart beat faster. According to the information shared by the Hive Church, they suspected that the furnace had become the legendary Southern Cross Wizard of the South Sky, with the ability to ignore all defenses. The black gem on the necklace suddenly shattered, and a dark light appeared in front of Hall. This was the oracle protection prepared for him by the great Lord of Nothingness. There was a trace of the Lord of Nothingness's divine power in the oracle protection, which should have been the greatest protection for the priest. The attack of the 7th level apostle could not break the oracle protection, but Hall did not feel any sense of security. The attack and defense of both sides only lasted for a moment, and neither of them could make a mistake. Once they made a mistake, they would definitely die. Hall understood that as long as the fingertips of the furnace lit up, there would be a terrible attack hitting his forehead. In front of the Southern Cross Wizard, the space seemed to be folded, and any defense was useless. Absolutely hit, once the attack was launched, Hall's life would not be saved. When Hall saw the furnace, he knew that he would be the first 6th level priest to die today. Out of his supreme faith in the Artisan Church, Hall wanted to make his death valuable. When the furnace raised his hand, he also raised his hand, but he raised his hand to wipe his abdomen. His red robe and the flesh on his abdomen seemed to be cut open by a sharp blade as his fingers passed through. There was no blood or internal organs in the cut abdomen, only darkness. This was Hall's strongest divine art, a divine art that used his body as a cage and his life as a price to let the enemy and himself perish together, and seal together in the endless void. Hall's abdomen was like a black hole, and the moment it appeared, it instantly formed a terrifying suction force. Since Hall was promoted to a level 5 priest, he began to borrow the power of faith from the Lord of Nothingness to cultivate the black hole in his abdomen. After more than 10 years of cultivation, this black hole is the strongest attack ability he can use, so strong that once it is used, even he can't avoid it. The ship under him seemed to be made of paper. This flagship from the trapped church was like a crumpled waste paper. The steel, deck, chimney, and steam turbine were folded and squeezed in an instant and flew into the black hole. On the sea surface under the ship, the thick sea water seemed to turn into water vapor and was quickly sucked into the black hole by the whale. A pit with a radius of hundreds of meters appeared on the entire sea surface. It was not because the properties of these things changed, but because the suction force was too strong, making them look light and fluttering. Rudolph, who was not far from Hall, was also sucked by the black hole. His figure was stretched and his head flew quickly towards the black hole. For a moment, everyone on the battlefield looked sideways in the direction of Priest Hall. Level 6 White Demon Priest Right drooped his eyelids and closed his eyes in some pain. The first level 6 priest died, and he died in a very decisive way of mutual destruction as soon as he met the enemy. High Priest Hall used his life to prove his piety to the Lord of Nothingness. Hall himself was also sucked into the black hole, but before being sucked in, he had a smile on his lips, thinking that his death was worth it to eliminate a blasphemer for the Lord of Nothingness. However, Hall was a little confused before he died. Why didn't he feel pain between his eyebrows? What about the absolute hit of the furnace? With Hall as the center, everything within a diameter of 200 meters disappeared. Air, seawater, a flagship, and 2 second-level ships, as if they had never appeared. Air from other places filled the vacuum here, creating a violent storm. Seawater from other places filled the depression on the sea surface here, and the diving seawater hit a water column several tens of meters high in the center. Wright temporarily withdrew from the battle with the East Fleet and observed the results of the Battle of the High Priest Hall. The furnace should be dead. High Priest Hall used the divine art of mutual destruction without hesitation. Could the furnace still run? A few seconds later, on a ship a few hundred meters away from here, a burning flag suddenly burst into flames, the flames turned golden, and a figure rushed out of the flames. Wright looked at the golden flame and the figure turned into a furnace. His face was extremely ugly. Lost, they lost again. Rudolph, who was suspended in the air, looked at the direction of the black hole and was very scared. This annihilation priest actually had such a powerful magic that could kill both parties. He touched his forehead. Fortunately, the 1-second absolute prophet told him that he might die. Poor Hall didn't know that Rudolph's absolute hit didn't hit Hall, but Rudolph himself. Before you kill me, I have killed myself. The ability of the Southern Cross Wizard and the Phoenix Wizard is a perfect match. The absolute hit feature of the Southern Cross Wizard ensures that Rudolph can commit suicide under any circumstances, and after committing suicide, he can rely on the Phoenix Wizard to be reborn from the ashes. This is a perfect closed loop, a closed loop without loopholes. If I can't kill you, can I not kill myself? In extreme cases, Rudolph can commit suicide first and then find a way to escape, just like this time. If there is no Southern Cross Wizard, he will not be able to escape at such a close distance to Hall. Rudolph quickly flashed to the position where Hall had appeared. A voice mixed with pain and surprise made the surrounding priests shiver all over. Where are my relics? Where are my level 6 Oblivion Priest relics? Hall's flagship completely disappeared, without a broken deck. He was really willing to let a flagship and 3 ordinary ships be buried with the furnace, just to perish with the furnace. The sight of the furnace searching in the air and on the sea completely crushed the morale of the evil god naval flank. How could there be such a shameless wizard? The level 6 high priest had already used the divine art of mutual destruction, and now the wizard was complaining in broad daylight that the black hole of the high priest hall had swallowed up all the relics. After searching for a few minutes, Rudolph had to accept this reality. He lost a level 6 relic. How could he not be heartbroken? Be careful when you meet the priest of Oblivion in the future, and separate them from other relics. Otherwise these crazy people will commit suicide when they are unhappy, and Rudolph's relics will be given to the evil god Oblivion. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 534. The addition of the pirate ships gave the Royal Navy a huge advantage on its flank. Under the attack of the Royal Navy and the pirate ships, the evil god navy sank one by one. Rudolph looked back at the pirate ships. The volcano, the Green Skull, several powerful ships of the Pirate King, and the ships of the poor sailor Drake and other pirates were all in the front and directly engaged in battle with the evil god ships. The ships of Roberts and other 5 pirates were located at the back, and there was a suspicion of not working hard. Pirates are a mob, and we can't ask too much of them. It's enough to come to help and overwhelm the evil god fleet in momentum. The Pirate King's ships are much more than Roberts and others' ships, which makes Roberts and others' ships look like the pirates' reserve forces. After confirming that there were no corpses in the sea water and the relics of the 3 ships, Rudolph scanned the battlefield. The priests could see the anger of the furnace. At this moment, it seemed that the furnace was the one who suffered a great loss, but it was obvious that the evil god was the party that suffered heavy losses. Rudolph quickly set his sights on a ship. That ship was very special in the evil god navy. On board were the fanatics of the evil god, composed of priests who were ready to sacrifice themselves for the evil god at any time and other apostles who defected to the church. That was a ship full of sweet cakes sprinkled with nuts. Seeing the fanatics at this time was like looking at a moving treasure house of relics. He had obtained 15 level 5 priest relics from the priest captains, which gave Rudolph a lot more relics, especially after obtaining the secret formula of the Argo, which made Rudolph more interested in the Argo. Only the last secret formula was left, and the 4 secret formulas needed by the Argo were collected. Rudolph urgently needed to get some new level 5 relics for the lottery. There were already quite a few priest relics, and collecting them again would be repetitive. These fanatics who defected to the evil god were fresh and delicious, and Rudolph was very interested in their relics. After a sonic boom, Rudolph appeared above the ship of the fanatics. The fanatics immediately attacked the furnace. The apostles on this ship had many tricks. There were the most alchemists among the fanatics. These alchemists who defected to the evil god cult were more active than when they were in the northern continent. They were responsible for drawing reinforcement arrays for the evil god cult fleet and making alchemical shells. They were the most hateful northern traitors. Under their control, more than a dozen rocket launchers locked onto Rudolph, who appeared flashing. Rudolph smelled the smell of disinfectant again and immediately felt a little bloated in his abdomen. This was the plague medium attacking him. He quickly used toxins to clean up the plague medium power that entered his body. There were also many werewolves. Following the evil god cult could fill their stomachs. It was very easy for the evil god cult to get all kinds of meat for the werewolves. They could kill many believers by just finding a crime of blasphemy or disrespect. Various apostles attacked and swarmed towards Rudolph. Rudolph flexibly dodged all attacks in the air. While dodging, he began to fight back. Staring at the level 5 plague carrier, a new gun appeared in Rudolph's left hand. This gun was loaded with level 5 alchemical bullets obtained from the Pirate King. Rudolph now has several endless revolvers, one loaded with poisoned bullets, one loaded with level 5 alchemical bullets, and one loaded with 30 level 6 alchemical bullets. There is another one, which only has one bullet, the precious level 7 alchemical bullet. Ordinary level 5 poisoned bullets are not effective against plague carriers. Plague carriers can suppress toxins, but alchemical bullets are different. In order to make a quick decision, Rudolph gave him 3 level 5 alchemical bullets. During high-speed movement, the 3 bullets were not affected and hit the plague carrier accurately. One bullet hit the forehead, one hit the throat, and one hit the heart, ensuring that the plague carrier had no chance to save himself. After killing the plague carrier, the swelling in Rudolph's abdomen disappeared. After the nemesis of Scorpio toxin disappeared, it was only a matter of time to deal with the remaining fanatics. Bullets were fired one after another, hitting the zealots' foreheads. At the end of the fight, some zealots even pressed their foreheads with one hand and attacked Rudolph with the other hand. This was their subconscious action, because they saw that everyone around them died from bullets in the eyebrows. The furnace seemed to have turned into a brows maniac, and every bullet hit the enemy's eyebrows, as if it had obsessive-compulsive disorder. After clearing out more than a dozen zealots, Rudolph found an opportunity. When the rocket launcher was replenishing ammunition and the ammunition depot under the deck was exposed, a level 5 alchemical bullet accurately hit the rocket under the deck. The rocket exploded under the deck and caused the entire ammunition depot to explode. The deck of the ship swelled rapidly under the effect of the explosion, and the alchemical reinforcement array on the hull was instantly overloaded. In the end, it could not withstand the huge energy, and the entire deck was blown away by the explosion. The zealots could no longer form an organized counterattack, and Rudolph rushed towards the ship that was broken into two. Countless starlight water snakes crawled out of the sea water and crawled towards the ship that was broken into two pieces. The gap in strength was too great. Although everyone was a level 5 apostle, the furnace contained several Nantian secrets, making his strength stand out among the level 5 apostles. When the fanatics lost their organization and command and had to fight alone and face the furnace alone, death became faster. One apostle after another was hit in the center of his eyebrows and lay on the ground. Those with weak abilities were directly killed by level 5 poisoned bullets. Those with strong abilities could still fight against the poison for a while, but the penetrating wound in the center of their eyebrows made them unable to move. The bullying starlight water snake offered the last blow and ruthlessly took away their relics. Rudolph shuttled around the broken hull, not even sparing the fanatics hiding in the belly of the ship. Soon, after obtaining a level 5 fraud priest relic, Rudolph finally obtained the last constellation code of Argo, the compass code. Rudolf recalled the 4 codes that made up Argo and began to sort out the relics needed for the code. \U0026LT, Vala code of the southern sky. Star map sail hexagram. Main relic level 5 Druid relic. Secondary relic level 5 Alchemist relic, level 5 Vampire relic. Ritual location direct shot area of Vila, Argo shipwreck area. \U0026GT. \U0026LT, Carina code of the southern sky. Star map sail hexagram. Main relic level 5 Giant relic. Secondary relic level 5 Water wizard relic, level 5 Trapped priest relic. Ritual location direct shot area of Carina, Argo shipwreck area. \U0026GT. \U0026LT, secret formula of the southern sky. Star map, hexagram of the southern sky. Main relic, level 5 relic of the high priest. Secondary relic, level 5 relic of the oblivion priest, level 5 relic of the water wizard. Ritual location, direct area of the southern sky, the Argo shipwreck area. \U0026GT. \U0026LT, secret formula of the southern sky. Star map, hexagram of the southern sky. Main relic, level 5 relic of the word spirit. Secondary relic, level 5 relic of the alchemist, level 5 relic of the fraud priest. Ritual location, direct area of the southern sky, the Argo shipwreck area. \U0026GT. Putting the 4 secret formulas of the southern sky together, the ritual locations of these 4 secret formulas are the same, all in the Argo shipwreck area. The starlight water snakes returned to Rudolph's sleeves one after another, and the relics entered Rudolph's star map one by one. Rudolph got all the level 5 priest relics required for these 4 secrets. After cleaning up the fanatics, he got the alchemist relics, druid relics, blood clan relics, and a water wizard relic. War is indeed the best opportunity to make a fortune. No wonder so many heroes like to start wars. War brings them too much wealth. Even people like Rudolph who take a ride can make a lot of money. I don't know what amazing gains those war initiators will have. What is missing now are 3 relics, a level 5 giant relic, a level 5 word spirit relic, and a level 5 water wizard relic. The others are fine. I didn't expect that compass actually needs a level 5 word spirit relic. The ability of this constellation is very strong, and it should be second only to the 3 strongest constellations. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 535. When Rudolph, who had gained a lot, raised his head, he found that Kedrick had led the fleet towards the center. The new level 5 knight Kedrick appeared on the battlefield. With the support of the knights and soldiers behind him, he had the combat power of a level 6 apostle and unleashed the most deadly impact. The level 6 priest originally sent to stop Kedrick died at the hands of Rudolph, leaving Kedrick with little obstruction in front of him. He threw his lance, and 2 shots were able to destroy a ship carrying an alchemy array. If nothing unexpected happens, this naval battle will end with a victory for the Royal Navy. Rudolph found the volcano and flew towards it. Seeing the furnace flying back, even the pirate ships towing at the rear unconsciously speeded up. Rudolph glanced at the rear of the pirate ships. Robert's ship, Cotton Jack's ship, and Chest Millie's ship were all slowly accelerating behind them. He suspected that none of the 3 pirate ships had fired their guns. Port Disaster Morgan and Red Eric, these 2 were quite obedient. They followed closely behind the Pirate King's ship and kept firing in a decent manner. Seeing the furnace fall back into his volcano, Eric in Red had a headache. It seems that he is on the wrong team. He just saw the furnace harvesting the level 5 priests like chopping melons and vegetables, and also forced the level 6 annihilation priests to use the magic of death. In the end, the furnace was resurrected intact. Is there any king's law in Saraguhe? Is there no one to govern the furnace? Eric in red felt that he should not listen to Robert's instigation this time. The Pirate King's side was stronger. Even if the Pirate King changed someone, it seemed that it would not be Robert's. The performance of the furnace also made Pirate King Polly nod frequently. She thought that the furnace would use the level 7 alchemy bullet in the battle with the level 6 priest. However, the furnace defeated the level 6 priest with only its own ability. Pirate King Polly was very surprised. The Royal Navy was in front, and the pirate ships were on the side and behind, and together they rushed towards the center formation of the evil god navy. At this moment, a priest came out of the cabin from behind the evil god cult navy. This priest was wearing a red robe, with 3 lines of gold engraved on the cuffs of the robe. 1 gold border represents a level 5 priest, 2 gold borders represents a level 6 priest, and his 3 gold borders represent a level 7 priest. Looking at the sea, the 7th level priest asked, "Have all the people who should come?" Captain Treto said quickly, "Dear High Priest Jacob, according to Roberts, pirates will also come to die." What he said is right. The pirates have indeed come. Well, whether it is pirates or this fleet of the Elba Royal Navy, let's destroy it together and let the Sarago Sea become the inland sea of the church. Captain Treto added, "An accident occurred. The 6th level annihilation priest Hall unfortunately sacrificed his life for the Lord. He died at the hands of the blasphemer's furnace and went to the abyss of nothingness." Jacob shook his head slightly. "For the glory of the Lord, this is a necessary sacrifice. Blasphemer furnace, I saw his name in the intelligence yesterday, and I remember him. Put in the reserve fleet, Treto Captain." Just as the left wing of the Royal Navy joined the center battlefield and attacked the main force of the evil god religion, the reserve force of the evil god religion navy also entered the battlefield, and the reserve fleet entered the other side of the battlefield, causing the Royal Navy's right wing to suddenly face twice as much of enemies. During the battle, Count Nahor felt that the right wing fleet was acting abnormally. They collapsed too quickly. Soon, the bright light there made Count Nahor's heart beat faster. Level 7 Priest. Level 7 White Demon Priest. After encountering a Royal Navy ship, the level 7 White Demon Priest waved his hand and sent out a corrosive beam, easily destroying the alchemy reinforcement array on the ship, and then 2 or 3 cannonballs could sink a ship. After the evil god's reserve fleet joined the battlefield, it quickly sank the Royal Navy on its path at an exaggerated speed. The right wing of the Royal Navy was shattered and large areas were sunk. On Count Nahor's flagship, the command flag wavered rapidly, passing on the Count's orders one by one. Soon, the Royal Navy's reserve fleet also moved. This fleet rushed to the right wing, hoping to prevent the right wing from rout. The left wing of the Royal Navy is already attacking the center formation of the evil god cult. The situation is excellent. The right wing must not be allowed to collapse. Otherwise, if the center line of the Royal Navy is attacked, the outcome will be difficult to predict. In such a large-scale battle, the spirits of both sides cover each other and attack each other. It is impossible to predict completely. Therefore, it is so important to adapt to changes. The reserve fleet of the Royal Navy moved firmly towards the 7th level priest. One of the ships changed its flag as it moved forward. Their flag changed from the Royal Navy East Fleet to the Royal Knights. The king paid so much attention to this naval battle that he actually dispatched a branch of the Royal Knights, a branch of the Royal Knights directly affiliated with His Majesty the King. The cult of evil god has prepared a final reserve fleet, and so has the Royal Navy. The Royal Knights have not been on the front line just to fight against the evil cult. If the evil cult lands on the northern continent due to civil war, the Elba royal family will become sinners, which is absolutely unacceptable to the Elba royal family. On the deck of the Royal Knights, there are rows of knights standing, and the knights standing at the end are all level 2 knights. Level 2 knights are the minimum standard for being selected into the Royal Knights. This knighthood is composed purely of knights and can provide the main general with huge and stable ultimate power on the battlefield. The one who came with the knights to help the Royal Navy was the 6th level knight, Marquis Nikita. The Grand Master of the Royal Knights is His Majesty Carloman XVI himself, and the official military position of Marquis Nikita is the Branch Master of the Royal Knights. The Royal Knights have been preparing for war in the capital for more than a year. Now it is finally time for the Royal Knights to take action. The ship is very fast and goes straight to the enemy's level 7 priest. Seeing the Royal Knights, level 7 priest Jacob was not surprised. The Royal Navy must have a backup plan. The appearance of the Royal Knights did not exceed the prediction of the evil god cult before the war. Seeing from a distance that the decline of the right wing is no longer expanding, Rudolph suddenly felt a palpitation, as if something bad is happening. The Southern Cross wizard gave Rudolph an intuition that is not inferior to the word spirit. Without Larry's help, Rudolph can vaguely sense that his life is threatened. The Phoenix wizard's life is threatened. Once this threat becomes a reality, Rudolph may not be spared. He observed the battlefield. He had no control over the battle between the Royal Knights and the level 7 priest in the farthest distance. Not far away, Count Nahor was fighting with several level 6 priests. Count Nahor had no tendency to be promoted, nor was he too disadvantaged. Nearby, Kedrick was leading the fleet to fiercely attack the flank of the evil god cult's navy. His attack caused the evil god cult's navy formation to deform. Those ships that were firing in the distance had to change their positions to avoid the sharp edge, which greatly reduced the pressure on the Royal Navy. So, what was the problem? Rudolph suddenly noticed 3 transport ships in the evil god cult's navy. The 3 transport ships were surrounded by warships and should not have appeared in that position. Moreover, the deck of the ship was full of people, all ordinary believers wearing linen. Looking at the 3 ships of ordinary people, Rudolph immediately understood what the evil god cult was going to do. Sacrifice. They want to get the attention of the evil god on the battlefield. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 536. Behind the evil god cult navy, there were 3 transport ships surrounded by other ships. On the bow of each transport ship stood a red priest. In front of them was a believer, who knelt on one knee on the ground half a meter apart, praying to the red priest. There were patterns engraved on the deck under the feet of the believers, which were divine patterns used for sacrifice. Not long after Rudolph noticed the 3 transport ships, a black vortex appeared about 10 meters above the 3 ships. As the power of faith gathered, the black vortex was slowly getting bigger. It was a symbol of the annihilation of the evil god. While other places on the battlefield were still fighting, the sacrifice here had been more than half completed. Rudolph didn't dare to imagine what would happen after the evil god annihilated here. In naval warfare, the swallowing vortex created by the annihilation priest was very difficult to deal with. If a large-scale vortex appeared, the entire Eastern Fleet might be swallowed up in a very short time. Rudolph could no longer stand safely on the volcano, so he had to take off again and fly to Kedrick. The left-wing troops of the Royal Navy knew Rudolph. Just now, this wizard helped them turn the situation around. Rudolph quickly landed on Kedrick's flagship. Kedrick, don't worry about the navy of the evil god cult. Don't worry about the victory or defeat on the front battlefield. Let's destroy the sacrifice and avoid the evil god's gaze. According to historical records, the evil gods almost never left their temples. Unless it involves a battle at the level of the Knight Emperor, the evil gods may gain certain authority in the battle, otherwise the evil gods will hardly show up. However, the evil gods can help their priests by watching, which is much more convenient than high-level apostles such as the Knight Emperor. The evil god's gaze requires a huge amount of faith every time, and only the sacrifice can gather so much faith in a short time. The Royal Navy has an advantage, but once the evil god looks at this battlefield, even the Royal Knights may not be able to retreat safely. Kedrick followed the direction of Rudolph's finger and saw the 3 transport ships used for sacrifice. He hurriedly ordered, "Adjust the direction. Charge towards the sacrificial transport ship." The flagship slowly deflected and led the fleet to the enemy further behind. This would cause the fleet to advance recklessly and fall into the heavy encirclement of the enemy, but Kedrick had no choice. He was the closest person to the sacrificial transport ship and only he had the opportunity to react. At this time, the flagship captain Micah suddenly reminded, "Master, Mr. Furnace, the sunken ship behind is a bit strange." The two turned around and found that there were whirlpools around the sunken ship behind. Those whirlpools were obviously caused by the Annihilation Priest. The sunken ship slowly rotated and sank into the water with the hull, corpses, and living people. It is said that the whirlpool created by the Annihilation Priest leads directly to the abyss of nothingness. The deeper it sinks, the more difficult it is to resist, and finally disappears in this world. Rudolph suddenly remembered that there were surprisingly many Annihilation Priests encountered in the naval battle just now. The overall strength of the flank of the evil god cult navy is relatively weak. It seems that this is also the tactic of the evil god cult. The believers on the sunken ship may also be part of the sacrifice. If this flank force can fight against the Royal Navy, then fight. If not, then turn it into a sacrifice. It's really troublesome. If you want to fight, just fight. Why call the parents? Hearing Mr. Furnace's complaints, Colonel Micah felt that the situation didn't seem so bad. Mr. Furnace could joke, so he shouldn't die. More than a dozen ships formed a semi-arc and blocked the sacrificial transport ship. Not good. There is another level 7 priest, Micah hurriedly reminded. The red robes of the level 7 priests are significantly different from those of other priests, and they can be easily distinguished. Seeing the second level 7 priest deployed by the evil god cult, Kedrick and Rudolph looked at each other and saw the uneasiness in each other's eyes. Kedrick is now a level 5 knight and can deal with level 6 priests on the battlefield. Rudolph accommodates 2 of the 3 strongest constellations in the south sky, and he can also deal with level 6 priests. For the 2 of them, the level 7 priest is beyond the scope. However, no one backed down at this time. This is a battlefield. Rushing towards the enemy without hesitation is far more likely to survive than turning around and running away. Fighting still has a chance of survival, but running away will inevitably face the gaze of the evil god. Rudolph is now a blasphemer on the list of the evil god cult. If Annihilation is watching here, he might deliberately take care of him. For the evil god, blasphemers are more hateful than hostile knights. Rudolph raised his revolver, opened the cylinder with a click, and poured out all 6 bullets inside. The 6 poisoned bullets hit the deck with a thud. Then, he took out a single bullet. "Kedrick, next, the 2 of us will cooperate to deal with the level 7 priest together." "Okay," Kedrick said, "it seems that I have to be promoted twice in one battle like those legendary genius knights to give us a chance of victory. As long as I am promoted again and become a level 6 knight, I can deal with the level 7 priest. I like your optimism. I wish you good luck, Kedrick. This is a battle of the Royal Navy, and I should be responsible for the main attack. Don't be afraid, Kedrick, it's just a level 7 priest. Let's try to see if his eyebrows are hard." At this time, Kedrick must be encouraged. 2 consecutive promotions only exist in legends. In the long history of knights, no more than 5 knights have achieved 2 promotions in one battle, which is too difficult. The golden bat wings behind Rudolph suddenly opened, and after a sound explosion, his figure instantly disappeared on the deck. Kedrick looked solemn. There was no need to discuss. The tactics were very simple. Next, Kedrick charged at the level 7 priest with the determination to die if he did not get promoted, and Mr. Rudolph would sneak attack the level 7 priest at the right time. The attendant Macy looked at Master Kedrick worriedly. It would be great if the battle lasted until the master was promoted. the Master would become a level 5 knight and have a brilliant future. However, Master Kedrick still had to fight, and he rushed towards the level 7 priest in an incomplete state. Colonel Micah fell silent as he looked at the 6 level 5 alchemical bullets on the ground. He wanted to build up these precious bullets, but if so, would it destroy the tragic atmosphere at this time and the majestic image of Master Kedrick and Mr. Furnace? He wanted to secretly collect these bullets. These bullets were very useful. These bullets were poisoned bullets made by Mr. Furnace. The pirates in the rear saw the Royal Navy's flanking force in front turn around, and they were confused at first. Soon, the lookout on the ship discovered something unusual. "Captain, the Royal Navy is heading towards the 3 transport ships, and there are sacrificial arrays on the transport ships." Hearing the sacrificial array, the pirate ships also turned around and caught up with the Royal Navy. They will suppress the Royal Navy in the middle distance with artillery fire to help the Royal Navy in front. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 537. Pirate King Baoli's ship began to accelerate. The steam turbine made by the level 6 alchemist quickly came to the side of the Royal Navy with surging power. Before Kedrick took action, the Pirate King's ship quickly opened fire. High-level artillery and rockets roared continuously. The rocket belt dragged the tail flame and rushed towards the level 7 priest of the evil god cult. The faster shells quickly passed through the sea and smashed towards the evil god cult fleet. However, none of these shells exploded normally. Around the level 7 annihilation priest canoe, large and small black whirlpools appeared. Rockets and shells drilled into these black whirlpools, as if they had never appeared, quietly disappeared without a trace. This feeling was desperate for the alchemists. Their weapons could not play any role. There was no saturation fire attack effect, only silent swallowing. Looking at the appearance of the level 7 priest, swallowing these shells was not so difficult. Seeing that alchemical weapons were ineffective against the level 7 Oblivion priest, other ships quickly turned their guns to attack the ships at the edge. The level 7 Oblivion priest had a limited range of protection, and the ships at the edge were not protected by the devouring vortex, which made other ships feel relieved. They were still useful. Only the Pirate King's ship was still trying to attack the level 7 priest, at least it could distract some of the level 7 priest's energy. After rushing forward for a distance, Kedrick picked up the javelin. At this distance, the appearance of the level 7 priest canoe could be seen clearly. The level 7 priest was a big shot in the church. There were no more than 10 level 7 priests in the entire Oblivion church. The knight's javelin was covered with a hazy white light and whistled away. Kedrick frowned deeply. The level 7 Oblivion priest had too strong control over the devouring black hole. His javelin was not much stronger than the level 6 alchemical cannonball of the Pirate King. The devouring vortex easily swallowed the knight's javelin. Seeing such a result, Kedrick calmed down instead. He issued a new order. "Speed up." With only 2 words of command, Colonel Micah heard the death determination of Major General Kedrick. Colonel Micah turned and walked towards the bridge. He was going to arrange the final charge of the ship. In the next battle, Major General Kedrick might die, and everyone on this ship would die. The command flag was waving, and the flagship asked other ships to provide fire support at this time. The Royal Navy ships and pirate ships fired cannons at this moment, firing shells at the 7th level priest and his fleet. Kedrick no longer tried to attack. Continuous shells passed over his head. He stood at the bow, quietly waiting for the final blow after approaching. The sailors saw the whirlpools that kept appearing in the distance. At this moment, it seemed that all the sounds were far away, and they felt the pressure from the high-level apostles. None of the shells and rockets exploded. A vortex black hole appeared there, accurately catching all the shells, and the end of the charge fell into a strange silence. Only the back of Major General Kedrick could make them feel a little safe. And this sense of security came from the possibility of promotion to Major General, which was less than 1%. The Annihilation Priests were good at defense. Their vortices could not move and could only appear in a certain place. Therefore, the Annihilation Priests had to wait until the Royal Navy approached a certain distance before they could launch a counterattack. Kedrick clenched the knight's gun in his hand and slowly raised the knight's gun. The guardian chain behind him suddenly tightened, without any arc, and all the knights and soldiers felt their abdomens tighten. The only extreme power left in the knights and soldiers was extracted by Kedrick, giving Kedrick the ability of a level 6 apostle. However, this was far from over. The extraction continued. The soldiers were the first to be unable to bear it. Their cheeks began to sag, and the muscles all over their bodies began to melt and shrink. After being transformed into extreme power, they were sent into the guardian chain in the abdomen. Then the knights also encountered this situation. The guardian chains turned into the most terrifying monsters and sucked away their strength. Just when the knights and soldiers on the ship thought they were about to die, a cloud suddenly flashed in the sky. It was a cloud floating in the distance, floating behind the evil god ship, and floating above the sacrificial transport ship. The cloud quickly dissipated in the heat wave, the water vapor evaporated in the high temperature, and a figure appeared in the air. Furnace. It's a furnace. I don't know when, the furnace actually hit above the sacrificial transport ship. The furnace was surrounded by scorching flames, and the flames gushed outward in circles, and the direction of the gushing was above the furnace. The bat wings flapped, the sparks gushed, and the furnace was like a meteor that suddenly appeared, smashing hard into the sea and the sacrificial transport ship. At the same time, Kedrick also squeezed the limit of his body to the extreme, and his cheeks were sunken and his flesh and blood dissolved. At the risk of his life, his strength reached the peak of a level 6 apostle. This shot was powerful and heavy, even more powerful than the level 6 alchemical bullet of the pirate king Baoli, and hit the level 7 priest. Just a little bit, Kedrick could touch the threshold of the level 6 knight. He was confident that if he was given 2 or even 1 more chance, he might be able to complete the promotion. Now the choice was given to the level 7 Annihilation Priest Canute. He should save the sacrificial transport ship first, or interrupt Kedrick's promotion first. Canute smiled and chose both. Since he was protecting the sacrificial transport ship, he also had to eliminate the knight who dared to rush close. Rudolph didn't dare to use sonic boom to flash. The stiffness after flashing was a loophole for seeking death in front of the level 7 priest, and he would be easily caught. This kind of dive also has disadvantages, but the process is more controllable. The 3 transport ships became larger and larger in Rudolph's field of vision, and he was getting closer and closer to the sea surface. At this moment, the level 7 Annihilation Priest opened his hands, one hand forward and one hand backward. In the direction of his forward hand, in front of Kedrick's flagship, a vortex larger than the flagship suddenly appeared. With the speed of the flagship, it would definitely rush into the vortex like a wild boar that fell into a trap. The waves around the vortex disappeared. No matter how high the waves were, they would disappear after hitting the vortex. The same thing happened below Rudolph, and a vortex larger than the Lion King Starfire ring appeared. According to inertia, Rudolph would definitely be swallowed by the vortex and then disappear in the void abyss of the evil god. At this moment, Rudolph suddenly drew his gun. This was his only chance, a chance to force the level 7 priest to use all their strength. He pointed his gun at the level 7 Annihilation Priest and pulled the trigger without hesitation. After a gunshot, the level 7 alchemical bullet disappeared. In front of the black hole vortex, the grenade in Rudolph's mouth exploded, and he killed himself before being swallowed by the black hole. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 538. Furnace. With a shrill cry of pain, the level 7 Annihilation Priest Canute could no longer maintain his composure and stand still. He covered his forehead in pain. This cry contained endless anger. He accidentally suffered a loss at the hands of a level 5 wizard, and suffered a big loss. The priests behind Canute rushed forward because they saw that the body of the high priest Canute was swaying and about to fall forward. The high priest stood by the railing at the bow of the ship. If he fell forward, he would fall into the sea. The two armies fought, and the high priest of their side was beaten into the water, which was a great blow to morale. The subordinate priest rushed to the nearest place and supported Canute in time. When he saw the bloody forehead of the high priest, he hurriedly shouted back, "Treatment! The high priest needs treatment. This ship belongs to the Church of Oblivion." Among the evil priests, the one who has mastered some healing magic is the high priest. There is no high-level high priest on this ship, but there is a plague carrier fanatic with him. Plague carriers who master medical technology are popular and are regarded as important doctors wherever they go. The subordinate priests saw that the eyes of the high priest Canute became dull, which was a prelude to falling into a coma. At this moment, he panicked and looked at the plague carrier doctor, who just ran over in disbelief, not understanding why this happened. In the distance, a ship had been blown up by a shell. Rudolph, who was resurrected from the raging flames, looked at the Oblivion flagship and his own results from afar. It is worthy of being the strongest 3 constellations in the southern sky. Even if it spans 2 levels, the absolute hit of the Southern Cross Wizard is still very absolute, and even the level 7 Oblivion Priest cannot avoid it. Canute noticed the gun raised by the furnace. He had already prepared a swallowing vortex with a diameter of 2 meters in front of him, but it was useless. The bullet did not pass through the space in front of him at all. His swallowing vortex was useless. The level 7 alchemical bullet appeared directly between Newt's eyebrows, hit him directly, and exploded in his eyebrows. To Rudolph's regret, the level 7 priest Canute still responded. Although he was hit, he was not killed. Canute covered his eyebrows with his hands, and bright red blood flowed from between his fingers. The plague fanatic began to heal Canute. After he broke Newt's hand, he quickly sprayed the hemostatic spray first, and he was shocked to see the wound. The high priest Canute actually created a vortex in his eyebrows, swallowing the bullet that hit him and the skull flesh and blood in his eyebrows into the black hole vortex. A 3 cm diameter blood pit appeared between Newt's eyebrows. The skull in the pit disappeared. The plague carrier doctor saw the pia mater in the brain. The brain was almost blown out. The level 7 alchemical bullet exploded a little, and then was swallowed by the black hole, and failed to completely blow up Newt's head. Ordinary attacks can be resisted by other methods by the level 7 priest, but this is a level 7 alchemical bullet, which really exploded against his eyebrows. Canute had to use such a tragic way to avoid brain explosion. The plague carrier doctor even saw the cerebrospinal fluid flowing out. Cerebrospinal fluid is located between the brain and the skull, and is an important buffer tissue to protect the brain. Without cerebrospinal fluid, the brain of the high priest Canute lost protection, and the intracranial pressure was disordered, causing the high priest to fall into a coma. The plague carrier must perform skull repair surgery immediately, otherwise the high priest's brain may be permanently damaged in the future. This is a big job. The plague carrier doctor shouted, "I need an operating room. A quiet operating room." While doing a simple bandage for the high priest Canute, the plague carrier sighed, "If it was the high priest of the hive who was injured, it would be fine. The high priest of the hive has the craziest body transformation, and a hole in the head would not be fatal. The priest of annihilation is not good, his body is not good enough." The 7th level priest Canute was seriously injured, and the tactics of the evil god cult immediately changed. They shrank their formation and retreated. Rudolph was very sorry. If he had an 8th level alchemical bullet, the high priest of annihilation would definitely die today. Thinking that he was still a 5th level wizard and got a 7th level relic, happiness came so early, and he was a little excited. If he was given a 9th level alchemical bullet, he would dare to give the evil god a blow. The alchemists were too stingy and only gave him a 7th level alchemical bullet. I don't know what they are afraid of. If they were given an 8th level alchemical bullet, today's naval battle would be over. Their stinginess caused Rudolph to only knock out the cerebrospinal fluid of the 7th level priest, but not the brain. Are the alchemists afraid that Rudolph will assassinate the Prime Minister? How is it possible? The Prime Minister didn't provoke him, so why would he assassinate the Prime Minister? Seeing that the furnace actually injured the 7th level priest, the Royal Navy and the pirates instantly fell into madness. Opportunity. Attack. All fleets attack. Kedrick quickly ordered all ships to speed up and break through the defense of the evil god Navy. Colonel Micah felt that he was really able to survive, which was so gratifying. Even those pirates who were hiding in the rear and working without working hard understood that they had a very high chance of winning this battle. Pirates are a group of rabble. If you let them fight hard, they will run faster than anyone else. If you let them follow the trend to rob, they will also run faster than anyone else. The strange-shaped pirate ships moved forward one after another, and their speed was even faster than the Royal Navy. The Royal Navy ships were heavily armed and had a deep draft, while pirate ships made a living by plundering and were much lighter and faster. Several ships of Pirate King Polly suppressed the evil god Navy while advancing, and together with the Royal Navy, forced the evil god Navy to push to the side, exposing the sacrificial transport ship behind. Other ships seized the opportunity to rush to the sacrificial transport ship, and the Volcano and Green Skull were in the front, and the two ships went straight to the sacrificial transport ship. The Pirate King looked at the two ships and confirmed that the intelligence was true. The furnace had an inexplicable hatred for the evil god cult, and it fought the evil god cult without reservation. In Fabreau City, the hometown of the furnace compromised with the Alchemy Council, but demolished the temple of the evil god cult. Following the Green Skull was an exaggeratedly large ship, twice the size of a common flagship. This was Roberts's giant, who rushed to such a forward position, with an arc-shaped route, heading straight to the side and rear of the evil god cult Navy, that is, the direction of the sacrificial transport ship. Looking at the giant, Pirate King Polly was a little uneasy, and she still didn't trust Roberts. But it doesn't matter. The volcano is in front, and with the furnace watching, Roberts can't make any waves. The level 7 alchemical bullets have just been used up, and the furnace still has a lot of level 6 alchemical bullets, which will not let Roberts succeed. Aim. Fire. After reaching the attack position, the first mate of the volcano, Mackenzie, hurriedly asked the gunner to fire. He couldn't hide the excitement on his face. Today was Mr. Furnace's real battle to become famous. Mr. Furnace could actually injure a level 7 apostle, and Mr. Furnace was still immortal. From today on, both sides of the Saragosi will remember Mr. Furnace's name. This deterrent power is too strong. In addition, Mackenzie, and others, who are his subordinates, will be more confident when walking in various ports in the future and facing various forces. Level 8 apostles are kings among the nobles, ministers in the parliament, and cardinals in the church, who are almost the same as a country in the parish. Level 7 apostles are already the highest level apostles that can be sent out by major forces, which means that Mr. Furnace can already dominate the Saragosi. Many people on the volcano were newly recruited by Mackenzie on Redbeard Island. Now they finally saw how powerful Mr. Furnace was, and there would be no more troublemakers. Rudolph stood at the bow and turned to look at the giant not far away. This unusually large ship was also firing at the sacrificial transport ship, but Rudolph frowned. Is Roberts's brow bone harder than that of a level 7 priest? How dare he show up at this time? Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 539. The cannon of the volcano quickly destroyed the alchemical reinforcement array of a transport ship, and then shells fell on the deck and the hull. There were no shells on the ship, so there was no scene of the ammunition depot exploding, which also made the ship sink slowly. Rudolph stared at the giant not far away. He did not find the 2.5-meter tall giant Roberts on the giant. After the sonic boom flashed, Rudolph suddenly appeared on the giant. Floating above the bow, Rudolph asked in a cold voice, "Where is your Captain Roberts?" Faced with the sudden appearance of the furnace and the unfriendly tone, the crew on the giant were all scared. Just now, the furnace went in and out of the evil god Navy several times, and shot a level 5 priest with one shot, never needing to shoot again, forcing a level 6 priest to death, and hitting a level 7 priest to serious injury and coma, so that the crew on the giant had no intention of resisting at all. Can't beat them at all. There is no doubt that the current furnace is the strongest pirate on the Sarago Sea. Not to mention that there is no Captain Roberts. Even if Captain Roberts is here, he may not be the opponent of the furnace. The two level 5 giants in the lead did not speak, they just lowered their heads. Captain Roberts was indeed not here, and they were unwilling to tell the furnace where their captain had gone. Looking at a ship of giants, Rudolph swallowed his saliva. The level 5 giant relics are the relics needed by the Nantian Carina, and the level 6 giant relics are the relics needed by the Zhongtian Hydra. However, Rudolph was not blinded by greed. The giant is now his ally. It is not good and should not be used directly. Rudolph is a civilized person. After a short silence, Rudolph suddenly turned his head and found Roberts. As a deep-sea monster, Roberts is good at launching attacks from the bottom of the sea. Two bulges suddenly appeared on the sea surface around the sacrificial transport ship. The sea water there turned white due to violent movement. It was the air dissolved in the water that was squeezed and exploded, turning the sea water white. At that bulge, two big hands suddenly stretched out of the sea water. Judging from the size of the two hands, there was a giant over 200 meters in the sea water. Deep sea monster, leaving no one alive, Roberts, it was indeed him. So, what did he want to do? The two big hands grabbed the two transport ships the moment they appeared. The big hands pressed on the deck of the transport ship and pressed the two transport ships hard to the bottom of the water. Roberts wanted to drag the remaining two transport ships into the seabed. On the surface, Roberts obeyed the resolution of the pirate conference, and he attacked the navy of the evil god cult at the last moment. But there seemed to be some problems here. Roberts was very negative throughout the naval battle. How could he suddenly become so positive? Rudolph didn't dare to approach the sacrificial array rashly at this time. What if he rushed over and happened to encounter the sacrifice completed and the evil god's gaze? Wouldn't that be the end? Roberts's combat instinct could not be higher than Rudolph's, unless Roberts knew that there was no danger in rushing over. Rudolph had reason to suspect that Roberts's purpose was not simple. Rudolph turned his head and looked at the two level 5 giants below, and quickly shot at one of them. After firing, Rudolph said, "I have always restrained myself and tried to use less immoral abilities. This time it's too late." This shot was not aimed at the giant's eyebrows, but at the giant's abdomen. The level 5 giant fell down with his hands on his abdomen. "What are you doing? Furnace. You can't kill us all before the captain comes back. Our captain will not let you go." Rudolph did not answer. He didn't want to kill all the people on this ship was so huge. A starlight watercolor quickly grabbed the seriously injured level 5 giant, the sonic boom sounded again, and Rudolph disappeared and appeared on the volcano. The huge golden flame bat wings wrapped Rudolph, and people outside could not see what was inside. "This flame bat wing is really beautiful, isn't it?" Mackenzie exclaimed to the crew around him. The other crew members also looked at the bat wings with envy. They could not identify the Phoenix Golden Fire and thought it was Mr. Furnace's important magic weapon, a magic weapon made of Blood Clan relics. In the bat wings, Larry appeared next to Rudolph, and he would read the memory of this level 5 giant. Reading memory is one of the abilities of the cursed words. This is the first time Rudolph let Larry use this ability, because Rudolph felt that doing so violated the privacy of others and was an immoral means. Others said that the furnace was cruel and bloodthirsty, but Rudolph felt that he was morally noble, but unfortunately no one believed him. No one ever praised him. Although Rudolph hunted for relics and had countless dead souls under his command, he was a good man. The prejudice of others made Rudolph very sad. Reading memory is not just as simple as invading privacy. It is said that the brain of the person whose memory is read is attacked by the curse power of the words, and the memory will be permanently lost. Now it is urgent, and Rudolph can't care so much. A few seconds later, Rudolph got the news he wanted. Roberts did collude with the evil god cult. In extremely unfavorable circumstances for the evil god cult, Roberts would take action to allow the sacrificial ceremony to continue underwater. After Larry disappeared and collected the level 5 giant relics, Rudolph did not delay for a moment, standing on the side of the ship and raising his gun towards the sea. Roberts was deep in the sea, reaching out to grab the 2 transport ships, waiting for the end of the sacrifice. This place is so safe, surrounded by annihilation priests. The seabed is the home of these priests. Even if someone sneaks in here, they will be swallowed by the black hole vortex. Seawater can also serve as Roberts's protection. Roberts used to rely on seawater and hide deep in the sea to escape many fatal crises. At this moment, Roberts suddenly looked up. From the bottom of the sea, each ship is a thick short black line. The light on the sea surface becomes very dim here. A level 6 alchemical bullet suddenly hit his forehead. Whether it is a bullet or a shell, once it enters the sea, it will be blocked by the strong resistance of the sea. The faster the bullet, the faster the speed will drop. Therefore, Roberts has never been afraid of the alchemist's weapons underwater. I heard that an alchemist has developed a mine. Maybe that weapon can threaten him, but that weapon has not been promoted yet. At this moment, Roberts encountered the same problem as the level 7 priest Canute. He was hit by some unreasonable means. The level 6 alchemical bullet ignored all the seawater and all the resistance and exploded in his forehead. Roberts did not have the exquisite means of the 7th level priest Canute, and his skull exploded instantly. Even with such a huge head, it could not stop the alchemical bullet from completely shattering his skull and blowing out his brain. As a Southern Cross wizard, Rudolph had 3 opportunities to use absolute hit every night, and this was the 3rd time. The first time he used it on himself, he escaped the death of the 6th level Oblivion priest. The second time he used it on the 7th level priest Canute, he turned the situation around. This was the 3rd time, he used it on the 6th level giant Roberts. In the horrible wound, Roberts' blood mixed with brain matter was gushing out. The 2 transport ships lost the giant's grip, and the wooden hull slowly floated upwards. The Oblivion priests understood that today's sacrifice could not be completed, and they retreated decisively. Saraguhe had not felt the strength of the Southern Cross wizards for hundreds of years. It was time for them to recall those terrible legends about the Southern Cross assassins. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 540. After firing a shot at Roberts, the sense of crisis that had been lingering in Rudolph's heart finally disappeared. Roberts died, and the evil cult's sacrifice was interrupted. Surround the giant. Under Rudolph's order, the volcano and the green skull turned around and headed towards the giant. The remaining level 5 giant Rigodo on the giant was pale. The furnace had just seriously injured and abducted his companions. Now the 2 pirate ships blocked the giant one after another, leaving Rigodo cold all over. The deep-sea monster pirates may be destroyed. His fate is in the hands of the furnace. Whether he can survive will depend on whether the furnace will let him go. Following Mr. Rudolph's order, Mackenzie used a loudspeaker to shout to the giant. Crew members on the giant. Roberts betrayed the pirate assembly. He betrayed the pirate code. Now we demand the surrender of the pirates on the giant. Otherwise, we will follow the pirate code and sink the giant that betrayed all pirates. Shouting over and over again, the giant fell into panic. Rigodo didn't know where they were exposed. Roberts's move was so covered. He also dragged 2 sacrificial transport ships to the bottom of the sea. How did the furnace know their true purpose? Maybe a big pirate like the furnace has some special means. Since the furnace dared to shout publicly, it proved that the furnace must have enough control over the whole situation. Soon after, many corpses suddenly appeared on the sea. They were the corpses of believers and the corpses of sacrifices. Pieces of corpses, hundreds of corpses floating on the sea, proved that the sacrifice under the sea was terminated, proved that Roberts lost control of the sacrificial transport ship, and proved that Roberts failed. A shell hit the giant, and the alchemical reinforcement array of the giant blocked the shell, but the people on the giant understood that this was a warning. The furnace that had killed countless people would never show mercy and would really sink the giant. Soon, the giant raised a white flag, and the crew tied each other's hands tacitly, waiting for the volcano and the green skull to receive them. Seeing that the giant was so sensible, Rudolph let Cooper take over the ship with confidence. He turned and jumped into the sea. There were still some things on the seabed that needed him to deal with. The level 6 giant relic was a level 6 relic that he urgently needed. The sacrificial transport ship was floating up. The hull of the ship was sealed, and the believers inside had no idea where they were going or what they were going to do. The closed cabin was subject to great buoyancy, which made the hull float up very quickly. Unlike the floating hull, Rudolph quickly dived into the deep sea. When Rudolph saw Roberts, Roberts was slowly shrinking from the form of a level 6 giant. A giant over 200 meters tall. After death, the giant power in his body disappeared, and his flesh and bones shrank for unknown reasons. Rudolph waited for a few minutes before he saw the giant completely turned into his original 2.5 meters. At this time, Robert's muscles were shrunken, and his flesh and skin were hanging loosely on his bones like an old man. The flesh and skin swayed with the sea water, like an old membrane wrapped around the bones. He still kept his hands forward, as if he had 2 transport ships in his hands. Rudolph saw the blue light of the relic in the mud on the seabed. He pushed away the mud and sand and found Robert's relic. This is a broken skull, which was blown out by a level 6 alchemical bullet. Level 6 alchemical bullets are really useful. Rudolph has to think of some ways to get himself more high-level alchemical bullets in the future. Rudolph already has the level 6 Mid-Sky Hydra secret, and the 2 secondary relics required by the secret, the level 6 High Priest relic and the level 6 Giant relic, are all available. The only thing missing is the level 6 Water Wizard relic. The level 6 Water Wizard he knows is Wells, the level 6 Mid-Sky Cetus Wizard of the Ancient Sea Wizard Association. It seems that we have to find a way to lure Wells out. The Ancient Sea Wizard Association did not participate in this naval battle, proving that they have a good ability to judge the situation. No wonder the Wizard Association has existed for so long. The level 6 giant bone disappeared in Rudolph's hands. The next moment, this relic appeared in Rudolph's star map, turned into a meteor, and flew to the Aquarius star field. The Aquarius Psi star was lit up, and the progress of Aquarius reached 12/12. 3 floating stars fell from the Aquarius Psi star, which were 3 options for Rudolph. Level 6 Gigantism, Level 6 Giant Bone, Level 6 Mid-Sky Cetus secret formula. After seeing these 3 options, Rudolph hesitated. Level 6 Giant Bone is a method of making witchcraft tools, and Rudolph does not need a large bone that is hundreds of meters long. Rudolph still has a great use for this level 6 giant relic, and it is impossible to use it to make a witchcraft tool, so this option was first ruled out by Rudolph. The position of the constellation is part of fate. For some reason, there are as many as 42 constellations in the southern sky, and only 10 mid-sky constellations, that is, equatorial constellations. Equus, Canis Minor, Aquila, Ophiuchus, Serpens, Sextans, Hydra, Unicornus, Orion, Cetus. Rudolph believes that with the help of the star map, it is not difficult for him to collect all 10 mid-sky constellation secret formulas. Relatively speaking, witchcraft and witchcraft tools are more practical than secret formulas at this stage. After repeated hesitation, Rudolph chose the level 6 gigantism. Level 6 gigantism, the effect is simple and crude, any object it touches will be enlarged to 100 times its size. Rudolph is now a level 5 wizard and cannot fully demonstrate the power of this spell. If he uses it, it is stronger than the level 5 giant spell, but it is not as good as the level 6 giant spell. It can only change the object to about 80 times. After obtaining a relic and a spell, Rudolph looked in the direction of Aquarius. War is plunder, which is the fastest way to obtain resources, much faster than getting rich through labor. Before a war is over, Rudolph has completely lit up Aquarius. A beam of starlight fell from Aquarius, and a light cocoon was hung below, and the light cocoon contained the forbidden spell of Aquarius. This is Rudolph's third forbidden spell of wind. The first is the forbidden spell of Gemini seed of split personality, the second is the forbidden spell of Libra salt covenant that cannot be betrayed, and the third forbidden spell is the forbidden spell of Aquarius that we see now, gentle wine waiter. After knowing the effect of the forbidden spell, Rudolph felt that wind wizards were all crazy people with mental illness. In history, the wind wizards among the 12 wizards of the zodiac all developed spiritual forbidden techniques. The origin of Aquarius comes from the beautiful man Ganymede in mythology. The god King Zeus has many mistresses with various tastes, but the one he loves most is a handsome prince. After seeing Ganymede, the god King Zeus was impressed by Ganymede's beauty, turned into a sky eagle to abduct Ganymede, and gave Ganymede eternal youth and precious divinity, so that Ganymede could hold a wine bottle and pour wine at the gathering of the gods, adding luster to the gathering of the gods. This is the origin of Aquarius. Aquarius' forbidden technique, gentle wine waiter, can turn others into obedient servants and the most loyal slaves in the world. Constraints: it can be used once a day after the star power is refreshed, and the wine waiter's level is lower than your own level. These restrictions made Rudolph feel relieved. The forbidden technique of wind is too cruel. It is also a means of controlling others. It is better to have more restrictions, otherwise the wind wizards will not rule the world. This forbidden technique has its own advantages compared to puppets. Puppet can only control one person per constellation, but the gentle wine waiter can control many and have many obedient wine waiters. If one a day, more than 300 a year. If Rudolph wants, he can even create a city full of wine waiters. If Rudolph uses this forbidden technique unscrupulously, he can quickly cultivate a force, and this force is loyal to him. Rudolph immediately attributed it to the category of unethical ability. Larry's memory reading, Gemini forbidden technique split personality seed, this Aquarius forbidden technique gentle wine waiter, the furnace that killed countless people was afraid, and felt that it was better not to use these three abilities if they could, which was more cruel than killing others. In the future, when you see wind wizards, especially high-level wind wizards, you must be extra careful, they are a group of mental patients. If he encounters a school of wind wizards that has forbidden techniques, he will probably be controlled by them. By then, Rudolph won't even have a chance to use his immortality and absolute hit abilities, which would be too scary. Weird Star Witch. Author, White Silver Black Iron. Chapter 541. When Rudolph returned to the sea, all the ships of the evil cult were fleeing. They left dozens of sunken ships in the sea area and fled in a hurry. The Royal Navy pursued them with great momentum. Level 7 White Demon Priest Jacob is still alive, preventing the evil god cult navy from being completely wiped out. The giant is under the control of the volcano and the green skull and can't go anywhere. Rudolph flew to the giant first. He stood on the bow of the giant with a cold face. Say, where is Robert's treasure? Level 5 giant Ligeo Duo was stunned. Why did the furnace suddenly ask this question? He looked up in shock. What? Rudolph threw a skull on the deck and said sternly, this is the relic of your Captain Roberts. When I was hunting for the relics, I knew that your Captain Roberts had robbed him for half his life and hid his treasure somewhere. If you don't tell me where the treasure is, I will take your relic alive, you know. The rich starlight on the relic proved that it was indeed a level 6 apostle relic, and also proved that Roberts really died at the bottom of the sea. Ligeaduo was about to cry. A 2-meter-tall man, the expression on his face was so aggrieved. Mr. Furnace, I really don't know where Robert's treasure is. I'm just the first mate of the giant. Roberts never said where his treasure is. Rigato was sensible and quickly understood the situation. Now he no longer calls Captain Roberts, but calls him by his first name. It seems that you don't believe that I will take your relic alive. Rudolph looked at the giant fiercely, and a starlight water snake suddenly stabbed out, wrapped around the giant's neck, and tightened it tightly. In just a few seconds, the giant's face turned purple. Take away. Torture him severely. You must find out the whereabouts of the giant's treasure. Now this ship has become Rudolph's prize. Rudolph and Pilot, the former pilot of the Bauhinia, said, Pellet, from today on, you are the captain of the giant. You will integrate the giant into the Redbeard Island in the fleet. Okay. Mr. Furnace. After arranging the Titan, Rudolph called in his intelligence chief Zachary. Zachary, spread a false news in the ancient Sea of Sarah, saying that Roberts died without leaving any survivors, and he left behind a giant treasure. The gold piled in the giant treasure is higher than that of Roberts after turning into a giant. How can I exaggerate? Anyway, it's better to have several versions to confuse the audience and make it appear more real. Understood, I will spread this false news as soon as possible to make it true. For the news of the giant's treasure, the crew of the giant will leave some people alive. If they spread it, it will be more true. You're right. Don't get rid of all the crew members. Hang the heinous ones. Keep the rest. They can help us spread the news about the giant's treasure. This is more reliable. Zachary couldn't help but ask, Mr. Furnace, why do we want to spread the news about the giant's treasure? When the time is right, spread the news that the giant's treasure is located on the Eagle's Beak Peninsula. I want to fish on the Eagle's Beak Peninsula. When he heard the name of the Eagle's Beak Peninsula, Zachary immediately understood what Mr. Furnace was going to do. The Eagle's Mouth Peninsula is located near the Martini Islands of the Ancient Sea Wizards Association. If they know that there is a giant treasure on the Eagle's Mouth Peninsula, other forces may not necessarily go there, but the Ancient Sea Wizards Association closest to the Eagle's Mouth Peninsula will definitely send people. I understand, Mr. Furnace. The volcano and the Green Skull continued forward, following Kedrick's fleet in pursuit of the cult navy. Rudolph quickly flew to Kedrick's flagship. Kedrick was excited to see Rudolph. Rudolph played a decisive role in this naval battle, and he joined the naval battle as a friend of the Golden Anchor family, especially Kedrick, which made Kedrick more important in the Eastern Fleet. Kedrick, I'm very anxious, Rudolph thought for a while. He got the level 5 giant relics on the giant. There were only 2 remaining relics needed by the South Seed. He said, I need a level 5 speech spirit relic and a level 5 water wizard relic. I want to communicate with the Word Spirit Intelligence Officer of the East Fleet and find the whereabouts of the Word Spirit fanatic followers of the Evil God sect and the Water Elemental Wizard fanatics. Before Kedrick could say those words of thanks to Rudolph, he immediately said, Please follow me, Mr. Rudolph. Kedrick also has a Batwing Witch weapon, which can conveniently give people the ability to fly. Most officers will be issued Batwing-Witch weapons. The two flew away from the flagship and flew towards Count Naher's flagship. On the Count's flagship, the messenger had already seen Major General Kedrick and the wizard Rudolph flying in, and reported to the Count first. Landing on the Count's flagship, Rudolph saw the principal officers of the Royal Navy's Eastern Fleet waiting on the deck. Rudolph felt that this should be the case, and he accepted the greetings of these officers with confidence. Without him, the Royal Navy's flank forces would not have been able to defeat the opposite cult Navy flank. Rudolph, Count of Naher, saw a nobleman standing in front of Count Naher, whose status was even higher than that of Count Naher. Kedrick quickly introduced, "Dear Marquis Nikita, this is a friend of our Golden Anchor family, the owner of Redbeard Island, the captain of the volcano, Mr. Rudolph the Furnace. It is the custom for God's chosen apostles not to mention the word wizard in public. Even if they are royal wizards, the nobles will only call them court teachers. Hello, Marquis Nikita. Is this Mr. Rudolph?" Marquis Nikita took a step forward, his armor jingling. "I'm glad that Kedrick has a friend like you. You helped Kedrick and the Royal Navy. I will highlight your achievements in my letter to His Majesty the King. It's an honor to have my name visible to His Majesty the King. Mr. Rudolph, what brings you to the flagship?" Kedrick replied on Rudolph's behalf, "Your Majesty, Mr. Marquis, Mr. Rudolph wants to see the word Spirit Intelligence Officer. He wants to know the whereabouts of the Level 5 Word Spirit Fanatic Believers and the Level 5 Water Elemental Wizard Fanatic Followers in the Evil God's Navy." "Oh? Mr. Rudolph, do you want a relic?" Marquis Nikita thought for a while and said. "Level 5 Water Wizard relics, I think the Eastern Fleet of the Royal Navy can provide them. Level 5 Speech Spirit relics, this is too rare. Count Naher, do you have any Level 5 Speech Spirit relics in the Eastern Fleet now?" "Lord Earl, we do have the relics of the Level 5 Water Elemental Wizard, and we will give them to Mr. Rudolph immediately. We do not have the relics of the Level 5 Speech Spirit. The Level 5 Speech Spirit is also a highly protected fanatic believer in the Navy of the Evil God cult. We rarely encounter it. Arrive." Rudolph felt very sorry to hear this result. The Royal Navy directly gave Rudolph a Level 5 Water Wizard relic, which Rudolph deserved. There are no Level 5 Word Spirit relics in the Royal Navy. This Rudolph believes that Level 5 Word Spirits are not that easy to kill, and Level 5 Word Spirits are of great value to any force. "Marquis Nikita, Count Naher, please ask the Word Spirit Intelligence Officer to tell me the information about the Word Spirit Fanatic Believers in the Navy of the Evil God. I will get it myself." The naval battle was not over yet, and these senior officers needed to grasp the depth of the pursuit. Rudolph did not bother these senior officers much. After receiving the information from the Yanling intelligence officer, Rudolph left first.